This episode is proudly brought to you by Justice Professional Hair Care Range. Justice Professional offers a range of salon-quality hair care and styling products, including shampoo and conditioner, anti-dandruff and dry scalp treatments, toning products, leave-in treatments, and various hairstyling waxes and sprays. The products contain high-quality ingredients and offer a professional finish at an affordable price.
Hi, my name's Tori. I'm super excited to be here to share my fertility journey, which has been quite long and hard, but worth every bit of it. When I was going through it myself, I felt like there wasn't enough avenues to be able to talk about it or be able to see other people's experiences. So I'm really glad to be able to shed a little bit of light on my experience. So my husband Jimmy and I got married and decided we wanted to start a family when I was 24. We fell pregnant the first month of trying and had our beautiful boy Lenny when I was 25. When he turned about 12 months, we decided we'd love to add to the family, and it just wasn't happening. We spent 2 years of that trying and having 2 miscarriages and 1 chemical pregnancy. So sought some help and had all the tests done, and everything came back perfectly, and basically got diagnosed with secondary infertility, which was pretty hard to cop when we found out. Basically meaning that they just didn't have answers why it wasn't happening again. So we ended up doing 4 rounds of IVF, and there was only the first round we got 1 embryo that made it to day 5, and none of the other rounds we got anything that made it to day 5. So on our 4th round we got 2 beautiful embryos that made it to day 3, and I decided that it was time to put them in, and we put them in, and we have our beautiful Mac and Vinny twins now, who are now 4 months old. So yeah, it's been a super hard journey, but the only advice that I can give to anyone that's going through it is to just speak up and own that journey as much as you can, and know that there's so many other women out there that are struggling just like yourself, and you're not alone. So that's my journey. Thanks guys, bye.
When you were growing up and picturing what your family would look like, which we all kind of do, that you pictured you'd have a certain number of children? Like, did you...
Oh yeah, I was going to have 2 kids and have them both by the time I was 30. Right. And, done.
And
so,
then life
wasn't that
kind of changes on you.
Yeah.
Did you have an expectation of what your family looked like, and
Yep.
that's why you really
Absolutely.
obsessed?
I from a very young age, I was going to have a boy and then a girl.
Really?
Yeah, always, and wanted to have the older brother, and it's just how I envisaged it. And even though that was in the back of my mind, it wasn't in the forefront for sure. But yeah, from a young age, I think that you have the ideal.
So when you were going through, the whole process of deciding to do IVF and feeling a bit disheartened, were you panicked a bit that dream wasn't going to become...
Absolutely you do. And strangely, when I fell pregnant with Chloe, it was a complete surprise, but that pregnancy was so precious to me, and I was like you as well. I bled for the first, I think it was 15 weeks, and it was horrific. And I kept going to the hospital, and because it was before that 24-week mark, what do they call that stage?
Viability.
When they're viable, they gave me nothing.
Really?
So they weren't prepared to do scans, they weren't prepared to check heartbeats and all sorts of things.
And you were so panicked because you knew that
Every
it
time.
was such a miracle that you fell pregnant.
Yeah, and the pregnancy was so precious to me. So although we were pregnant, the whole time I was just felt on edge that it might go away. And I felt that with both of my pregnancies because I was so desperate to have them. So I was very lucky that we had Chloe.
It's pretty remarkable that you had Chloe.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we were trying again and got the distinct impression that it wasn't working again.
Yeah.
And I was in a really shitty spot as well. Sorry for swearing then.
I didn't hear it.
I was in a really bad spot as well with work, and Paul said, exactly like you guys, let's get you in a really good frame of mind, optimum health and things like that as well. And we'll start looking at IVF next year or something like that. So I quit my job and started to try and get fit and got a new role. And the day before I started the new job, I found out I was pregnant with Chloe. We weren't even trying. And the funny thing about it was, with how anal I was with the ovulation timing and everything, it happened at a time I never would have tried. Like, I would have thought that I'd missed it when we conceived. So
it just shows you, doesn't it, when you're in a really good place.
We were in a great place.
And Dani, you try to help people get into a good place with your yoga.
Absolutely. There's a massive connection between stress and anxiety with fertility and even PCOS. So the symptoms of PCOS are really peaked with stress and anxiety. So that's why I've always done prenatal yoga. So I take prenatal yoga classes and I get the ladies prepared for birth. And then after my own journey and learning all of the ins and outs of what yoga can do for PCOS, I then started to look into it for fertility. And the way that you can go through just simple meditations, guided meditations, restorative classes, throwing some essential oils in there, and I'm really excited to throw my passion out to help other people. So not just keeping it all for myself.
And you have been helping other people.
I have been, yeah.
But you had correct me if I'm wrong, you were having a miscarriage when you were leading one of your classes.
I did, not while I was leading it. So I was going through the process. I had a blighted ovum, is that what it's called? Yeah. So I went through probably about 3 weeks of having to go to to get scans, and they were wanting to make sure that it wasn't going to turn into anything. So I had to go through about 3 weeks of getting scans every couple of days before they could decide whether I got a D&C, because I wasn't going to miscarry naturally. So during that time I was having to take my prenatal yoga classes and talk about connecting with the womb and connecting with the baby, but it wasn't difficult for me because I was with a bunch of women who were loving my help, and we're all there for the same reason. Even if I was going through a miscarriage at the time, it's what I'm here for. That's what I feel like I'm here for. So I really enjoyed it, even if it was a difficult time. Yeah.
Alright, I've got a story about me wetting myself. So I played footy last year and I was the ruck. So we wore white shorts. Let me just set the scene. So we've got white shorts on and ruck is jumping up, banging the ball and then coming down and landing. So I have gone up with the knee, came second in the league, best and rarest. Then I've come down and I have just wet myself. Like, we're talking, it's coming down my leg. And I've finished with my yellow shorts and my girl's looking at me. I was like, well, I've had 2 kids. How many have you had? And basically I literally smelt like wee after the game. I was like to my best friend, like, can you smell me? She's like, yeah, babe, that's really bad. Like, so anyway, we went to the showers and it was fine. But every game of footy, I've wet myself.
So you're like running with the ball and they're parting like the Red Sea.
Yeah.
Move away, she's coming. The smell.
Honestly, yeah.
Nice. I was walking the other day and I was so desperate. It was pain. You know that pain, the cramps, and I didn't know what to do. And I made it back to my car and I looked everywhere for a bucket, a bottle of water that I could empty out and use anything. Oh, but I ended up finding my son's nappies, and I literally put them on, and I filled 3 nappies.
And look how proud you
I was
are.
thinking of you know how they do the Huggies absorbency test and they actually tip bottles of water into that. They hold a lot.
Yeah, I bet they do, and that was a proud moment for you too. I actually have another one. You ready?
Go.
So I went to bounce. I can do backflips. So I was doing a backflip and I don't even know how to explain it, but it's like
Spray.
Picture just water flying around.
Did you have nothing?
I had leggings on. Anyway, it was one trampoline we got to, and we were definitely out of there because once again I stank of wee.
Abby the water pistol.
Story. Lethal weapon.
So red.
You didn't even do it.
And you help people too, Gabbi, with your Pink Elephant Support Network.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I think, same. I really just wanted to be able to help people. Initially, when I was going through all the IVF, I always thought, well, one day I really want to do something, whether it be start a blog or something, just to talk about it and like help people through that. Post having Samuel, my third little boy, we did try again to have another baby, but we ended up having 5 further miscarriages, which was just, awful. So we did make the decision to stop. Well, my doctor kind of helped us make that decision, and he was right.
5 miscarriages over what time
About
frame?
probably 18 months. Wow. So, yeah.
Were you an emotional wreck then? I asked that because I'm putting
bitter
myself
and twisted more than emotional, I think. I just became really
Angry.
bitter and angry and, angry at anyone else that was able to be pregnant and not me. But which
I can relate
then
to
you
that.
but then I feel like I didn't have a right to, because I have my kids and so many people don't. So I kind of felt really conflicted with, and too, and when I was doing the IVF, I also felt conflicted because I had a child and I was kind of, all in this, but then I was also, in online groups and stuff with people that had no kids, and like you wondered if you would ever even have one. So it's it's kind of a tricky place to be. But anyway, so I wanted to try to help people. So even just on Facebook groups or anything like that, if anyone mentioned miscarriage or infertility, I'd always say something to, try to be helpful or supportive. And a girl called Sam ended up private messaging me saying that she'd seen something that I commented. We had a mutual friend, maybe could we meet for a coffee one day, because she'd just had her second miscarriage. And I said, yeah, of course, for sure. And so then by the end of that, we decided that something needed to be done, particularly for early miscarriage, because it kind of gets swept under the carpet a little bit, a lot, I think, because it's not a real baby. It's only, 6 weeks or 7 weeks or 8 weeks. And, we really felt that there needed to be way more validation for the loss that women experience. Because it does. From the second you pee on 20 sticks, you're pregnant and you're having a baby, and you
have the idea of holding that baby in your arms, and you picture so much, and it is really, really emotional.
Yeah. So Pink Elephants is really important to all of us. My sister-in-law Rachel, she's also the third person that came on board, and we've created this amazing thing together. At the moment, we're focusing predominantly on the early miscarriage, but we are gradually getting more into the infertility kind of space as well, and they're very linked. But we just want women to feel loved and supported and not feel alone, feel like their loss matters, and we've got beautiful, beautiful resources so that when someone is told their baby doesn't have a heartbeat anymore, they don't just get a terribly sorry, off you go, so they know that they can go somewhere and just have, I'm getting tongue-tied now and I don't know what I'm saying.
They have a place to go to find some support and some people that they can talk to.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm one of the co-founders of the Pink Elephant Support Network. We are Australia's first charity to specifically focus on the needs of women and their partners experiencing miscarriage or early pregnancy loss. We offer 3 different types of support. That's emotional support literature in the form of resources that can be downloaded from our website miscarriagesupport.org.au. Safe online communities where you can connect with other women at a similar point in your journey. That's our miscarriage support grief group, our preconception for when you're trying to conceive again group, and our pregnancy after loss group to basically hold your hand and nurture you as you navigate that really difficult and often anxious journey. In addition to our online communities, we also facilitate a peer support program where we can offer you a personalised peer supporter, which is another woman who's been through loss, who's been trained up by our bereavement counsellors in how to support you best over 6 free phone sessions. And as I said, that woman can really just offer you that validation of the experience of your loss, that it's normal to feel the way that you do, and just to offer you that empathy and understanding that is critical to your emotional healing, well-being when you're going through a journey of early pregnancy loss. So if you're needing support, please head to miscarriagesupport.org.au or to our at Pink Elephant Support Facebook or Instagram page. Thank you.
That takes me to you, Adele, because you are a mummy blogger who keeps it real, and you allowed your followers to kind of come along with you on the journey, to having Harvey and also Chloe. Do you get lots of messages, and I imagine you would, from people, saying that you've really helped them?
Yes, and that's what keeps me going, because the blog's actually a bit of hard work, being a working mother as well.
I don't know how you have time to do it.
I don't know either, but I pride myself in replying to every single person that writes to me. And my husband's not so happy about that, because I'll often be on my phone at midnight still replying, but it means a lot to me to be able to help women that are going through any of it, whether it's fertility or being a new mum, or any of the struggles that come with it, or the roller coaster that comes with being a mother. And I pride myself in replying and helping anyone that writes to me, which has been great, because it's made a little community as well, and everyone that follows the blog are genuinely beautiful people, and I really love it. Yeah, it's terrific, and
you share your hard times as well as the good.
Yeah.
And do you think that kind of helps support people in a similar way to what Dani and Gabbi are doing? You're using your experience for
Absolutely.
good.
Well, I remember when Harvey was just 4 months old, I was having a terrible time. He was barely sleeping, and I was on my own because my husband was working away, and I was looking at social media and going, that's not a real portrayal of motherhood. Some of the things that you see on there, pristine mothers and boogie-free children, and I just went,
boogie-free children.
This is not what it's like.
Who has these children?
But
Why do you have so many boogies?
The real mama is a bit of a stab, actually, because I really wanted to put out the real insight into it. And yes, there's brilliant times, but there's some terrible times too.
Hi, I'm Amy Marie from Sydney, and I'm 37, and this is my IVF story. So I started IVF 5 years ago in 2014. We've done 6 full stim cycles, and I am up to my 8th transfer. The main cause for IVF, me needing to do it, was endometriosis, that I was diagnosed at the age of 19 through a laparoscopy. So basically I've had back-to-back failed IVFs, and then in 2017 I did get pregnant on about our 3rd cycle, and it did sadly end in an ectopic pregnancy. After the ectopic pregnancy, we did do another round of IVF, which failed, and then we did a frozen transfer in 2018, which ended sadly in a miscarriage. Both at 8 weeks were the baby losses. So it's been quite a struggle, like trying to get through, all these fails after fails. And then we did do another 2 back-to-back cycles last year in 2018, which both failed and didn't stick, and we didn't get any frozen embryos. So I chose to have a laparoscopy again after more than a decade, and a hysteroscopy, which was done in December 2018, and we did a cycle straight away after in January 2019, which resulted in a pregnancy, and I'm now currently 19 weeks weeks pregnant. So it's been quite the journey, but one that, I'm happy to share for others so that they know that they're not alone. There's definitely lots of IVF warriors out there that, we should all band together and know that this shouldn't have any stigma attached, and that we definitely should be talking more about this infertility struggle that so many people are enduring at the moment. So yeah, that's my IVF story, and we are expecting a little girl in October this year, so can't wait. Thanks.
Did you feel like I don't quite know how to word it, but you'd wanted this baby for so long, and then all of a sudden you had Harvey, and you were like, holy hell, this was actually really hard.
Absolutely.
Did you feel a bit conflicted?
Absolutely. And it's very hard to moan when all you were doing was wanting so much. Like I did be on the receiving end of a couple of messages every now and then that would say you should be grateful. And you're very lucky that you had a kid, and that comment as well of you've had a child, you should be happy. Why do you need number two so desperately? Just comments like that.
Because there's a lot of people out there, and I know a lot of them messaged me after the last round of episodes and said they were unable to have a baby. And so that, is incredibly sad. So I'm guessing that you would have had a lot of messages from people saying, be grateful that
I'm
you've
surprised
actually got one.
there are actually people that followed that are in that position. And have said to me as well, it's almost a release to be able to follow a family that they won't ever have, and
which is really heartbreaking.
Really heartbreaking. I'm getting a ball in my throat talking about it, but lots of people have written and said how incredibly lovely it is to follow such a nice mum when I don't get the opportunity to be able to do that, and it is heartbreaking, and I felt that anguish that might be me as well, and I can just imagine how that would feel for somebody. I'm getting upset now.
Yeah, and I'm getting teary too.
but I can't imagine how that would feel for a woman to get to that point where they just have to accept that they're not going to be a mother. It would be horrific because it's an amazing experience.
How have you found motherhood? Dani, is it what you thought it would be?
Newborn stage is exactly what I thought it would be, because Ivy was perfect.
Right.
She was this cute little thing that slept all the time.
Was that because you kept putting oils on her? I need to get these oils for Scout.
She was really quiet and well behaved and this cute little thing, and then she started to move. And then she just ran and hasn't stopped. So I'm constantly running after her, but she can be quite difficult and challenging, but that's my girl, and I'm really enjoying her at this age. So she's 3 at the moment, and if you'd asked me maybe last year, my answer would have been completely different.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying 3. She's my best buddy, and I can't wait to see her. She's actually started to tell her daycare teachers that I'm having a baby, even though I'm not.
I love that.
So that's an awkward conversation.
Especially when they keep looking at you. I always get that.
Yeah.
Just suck in now.
I was wearing a work dress one day, a nice tight one, and I went to pick her up, and she said, "Oh, Ivy told me that she's going to get a brother or sister," and I was like, "This is just a big lunch."
No pressure. So no pressure, but are you trying? So you would like to have another child?
Absolutely.
You're trying to use natural ways to conceive?
Yeah. So as you're talking about before, you plan, when you're younger and you think about what your family's going to be like, it was always going to be 2 or 3 kids in my 20s. I wasn't going to have a child after I hit 30.
Yeah.
I'm 30 this year, so at the end of this year I'll be 30, so I don't think my plan's going to happen. We're currently going through renovations of house, and so we're going to wait until that's all over before diving in and trying. But I'm still making sure that I do everything right and get this PCOS under control and endometriosis under control as naturally as I can, so that hopefully it's an easy process.
Do you think a lot of people have endometriosis and don't know it?
Yeah.
And polycystic ovarian syndrome?
Yeah. So, and a lot of the time it's just covered up with the pill. So you do go to the GP and you tell them your symptoms, and they say, "Oh, you've got bad skin, you've got irregular periods, here, take the pill." And that just fills you with artificial hormones, and then it covers it all up. So it's not until you get to the point where you do want to try and have a family, you get off any type of contraception, that you figure out that there is an issue. And it can be dealt with years and years ago if you find out what it is before.
And hormones being out of kilter, I can relate to, because I remember once I was put on a pill that didn't agree with me and I turned into psycho. Like, seriously stab you while you sleep. When you're injecting yourself with as many hormones as you were doing, I know you said that you were like angry, and that must have put a lot of pressure on your relationship, you know, with your husband.
Interesting, funny. You know, I knew that it would, affect me emotionally and all of that kind of stuff. So I actually had yellow sticky notes, and I put, "It's just the drugs," and I would put them in the
On your forehead,
in the bedroom, on the fridge. It was just so like,
really?
I would just remind myself, no, you're not going mental. It's like, you know, you remember you're putting all this stuff into you. It's okay. It's okay.
So you felt like you were losing control. You felt like you were losing reality. Just
look, I mean, to be honest, I think I probably went through it easier than most, because I have heard some terrible stories about the effect that all those hormones can have. But you know, maybe you should ask my husband. He might have a different view.
He's cowering over there, just scared to come forward.
Exactly.
And advice for mums who are sitting at home watching this, who are either in a position where they're desperately trying to have a baby, or you know, they're thinking about doing IVF, or they've just had a miscarriage. What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, be really kind to yourself. Especially if you've had a miscarriage, just be really kind and patient with yourself. And anything that you feel is okay. I mean, if you're devastated, that's okay. If you're not, that's okay. If you hate every pregnant woman out there, that's fine. And that goes for infertility as well. Like, it's an emotion. It's there. You've got to feel it. I mean, the more you tell yourself you can't, you know, don't be silly, you shouldn't be feeling that or whatever, that's just putting more pressure on yourself. And I think, and also be your own advocate. If things don't feel right, like, you know, you sensed that there was something that wasn't quite right, and as did you, Dani. Like, you've got to kind of push, because sometimes it is too ezy for people just to go, "Oh no, you'll be okay, you're young," and you're young. And you know, it never hurts to get tests done. Like, just no skin off anyone's nose to have some blood tests, or just do something. But I mean, ultimately, just take care of yourself, really. It's just the most important thing. And seek help. Seek help from other people who get it, who have been through what you're going through, because they're the ones that are truly going to understand what you're going through, and not kind of try to tell you that what you're feeling is silly or not valid, I think.
Because that's pretty important. Because often we do feel that we are alone, and what we're feeling is completely over the top, or you know, that we're in it on our own. And that's what you try to do with your blog. Try to, you know, teach people that
it's okay to talk about it. And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think that what you just touched on then is so important about being kind to yourself, but also to your partner, because it's such a private thing that you're going through, that often, especially the man, he doesn't speak to anybody about it. They don't have the support groups and everything like that. But I found that I often used Paul as my punching bag when I was going through it. And I was so angry because it was me with the issue, and felt really robbed. And because I was so frustrated and ragey with the hormones, I often used Paul as my punching bag, and I wished I hadn't.
But you forgive yourself now?
I do now, and he was absolutely brilliant through it. But I think that anyone that's going through it, just find somebody that you can use that's removed from the situation as a vent, someone to cry to, someone to yell at, whatever. Because in the end, if you're not successful, you still have your partner, and that's the most important thing to nurture. And I think keeping busy as well, because it's such you can get very consumed in it, and obsessive almost about falling pregnant, that having a project or something to take your mind off it would be my biggest tip. plan a holiday. I had a vegetable patch I started, and it was almost though my issue, and I use the analogy of the soil not being well. I nurtured a garden at the time I was going through it and grew vegetables, and it was quite therapeutic. And tried to plan a holiday as well, even though we didn't have any money. But we spent it all on IVF. But I think that just really being kind to yourself is so important.
Yeah.
Really important.
Because often we do beat ourselves up and we blame ourselves. And you are a big believer in being kind to yourself and
Absolutely.
trying to
Emotions
connect.
are there to be felt. That's so it doesn't matter. You go through your waves and you allow yourself to go through it. And it doesn't matter, as you said, whether you're angry. You allow yourself to be angry and then you move on. If you don't allow yourself to be angry, you get stuck in it and you stay there.
Do you think sometimes people feel scared to feel those emotions?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
We're told for so long, you know, don't be angry, be thankful, be grateful, you know, just be happy. Let's kind of. So how do you let everybody know that it's okay to feel those? Because you seem so calm and composed now, and it's obviously you've learnt that, or have you always thought feel your emotions?
No, I used to, before I got right into my yoga, I used to be anxious. I would have panic attacks all the time.
Really?
I was probably completely different to what I am now. So I think I've learnt how to control, not my emotions as such, but how to control my ups and downs and how to deal with them. So I know when I need to step away and have some time by myself. And I know when I can socialise with people. It's just getting to know yourself and how it is that you can deal with things in the situations that you put yourself in, I guess. So if you are going through a really tough time, then allow yourself to stay at home and don't force yourself to go out of the house and be around people that are having babies. You're allowed to be home and be a little bit bitter, and I guess that would be...
Rather than put yourself through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember I went to a party once and I just found out I got a negative test that morning, and it was a family event, and one of Paul's aunties, she's going to kill me for saying this, but she came up and said, when are you guys having a baby? And, clock's ticking, and I just went, it's not that bloody easy, you know. And I'll never forget it because I burst at that point, and I allowed myself to. And I think it's so important rather than bottling it up.
Yeah, to let those emotions out.
Let it out and say it's not that easy, and we're having a really hard time.
And how did she react?
Well, she didn't know, and it was just that throwaway comment that people don't know.
People use it all the time.
Yeah, when you're having kids and you don't know how many people are struggling with fertility issues and conditions,
and it's really common.
And it's a personal question,
Yeah.
a really personal question, whether people are having trouble or not. It is a personal decision about whether you are going to even have kids. So, yeah, it's one I was asked a lot and one that I hated every time.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I've had 3 pregnancies, and I have one living child who is 10, and I also have had 2 miscarriages after I had my son. He was about 5 years old. The first miscarriage was a blighted ovum, and I naturally miscarried at home at 9 weeks. And we actually tried 3 months after that, got pregnant again really easily, and then had a missed miscarriage that was picked up at the 12-week scan. And I ended up having an emergency D&C for that pregnancy. We have actually made the decision to just have the one child. I actually made the decision because I wanted to make sure that I could be the mum that I wanted to be. I had extremely, quite severe postnatal depression after my son was born. And I struggled with that for quite some time, and it took us a long time to decide to try for another baby. And when we did try, both of the pregnancies ended up in miscarriage, and I made the decision with my husband that we would stop with our one child, and that's been the best decision that we made for our family so far.
I think we're going to start to wrap up now because we're running out of time. But before we go, I'm just going to pull out some cards here. We're going to do a word association game, okay?
Tell us about this.
So this is how we finish off, okay? So I'm going to say a word, and then I just want you to say the first thing that comes to mind, okay? So we'll start with Adele. Adele, sex.
Bottoms.
Okay, well, that's lovely. Dani, lost.
Woods, that's weird.
Woods. Gabbi, penis.
Vagina.
Yell.
No.
Oh, that was my next word. No. Pregnant.
Baby.
Varicose vein.
Ugly legs.
You're getting fun ones.
Perineum.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Oil. Massage.
Tearing. Oh, yes. That's my next one. Tearing.
Massage. Perineum oil massage. Get in there.
Love.
Oh, baby was the first thing that came into my mind.
Laughter.
My kids.
Cuddles.
Bed.
And oils.
Massage.
That's all we have time for today. Please thank these fabulous mums for coming on and sharing their story. You'll find all the details about today's episode up on the Mummy Time website. You'll also find contact information for each of the mums in case you've got further questions, and you'll also be able to find out more about the Pink Elephant Support Network. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, ladies, for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Hello, Dani.
Hi. It's awesome. You made me sound great.
Couldn't grab the pillow. Mummy Time TV.